Here I am. So this is something that you don't know. I'm here with Flavia Tata Nardini.
Yep.
And you're actually our first female guest.
Yoo-hoo!
And I know you are super passionate about that because the times I've heard you talk, and there's some amazing things that you do with schools where you actually speak to the students, which is so cool. So
That's right.
I really applaud that. But I guess there's a lot of people that might be thinking, you know, who is this person? Or there might not be. I mean, most people in Adelaide have seen you around the traps. But do you want to give us a bit of a brief history as from once you were, not that long ago when you were born in Rome?
Yep.
In Roma.
Roma.
Yeah. And then you somehow made it here to Adelaide. Do you want to give us a brief history? And we're going to talk a bit about space. Bit about maybe rockets and satellites or nano satellites, which is something that you're obviously passionate about here. For me, watching what you've been doing has been amazing, and you actually wanted to do that when you were really young, by the looks of it.
Yep.
So how old were you when you actually thought, I wouldn't mind sending things into space?
Quite young, I have to say. So I was born in beautiful Roma, so Italian family. I've got a big family. We have 5 siblings. I'm number 4. And all my family is pretty like engineers. They build stuff. They do a lot of cool stuff. But I was born with the space bug.
Yep.
Really don't know why. You know, some of them do chemical or biomedical. So it was completely random. You know, mom was a teacher. Dad is an architect. But I love space. And I really was the kind of odd child that was like, I want a telescope. I want this. I want that. And I just loved it, and I'm not really sure why. Okay, so I grew up and thinking I want to do this, I want to do that. I loved space, you know, always with my nose up looking at the sky. And then it got a little bit more complicated, and I became a teenager, you know, like all the things. And I think I just wanted to do something in space. And then I decided to do space engineering. I really, you know, I don't know why I got this space thing. It's a space bug. Because really everything that I've done in my life up to the point that then I studied space engineering and aerospace engineering was I wanted to just do stuff in space.
So to dumb it down just a little bit, space engineering.
Space engineering.
To me, when someone talks about engineering, I'm thinking of mechanical things. I'm thinking of, you know, engines. Space engineering is that
the next level?
Yeah.
What is it?
Like, is that like a rocket into space, or is that like a terminology for everything? Like, it's obviously not astrology.
No, it's not astrology. I actually was thinking about doing astrology. So when I was in high school, I was like, I want to do space. What can you do? Astronomy? Can you do like science? Can you do all sort of crazy things? Can you do engineering? So engineering is part of building stuff, right? I actually did aerospace engineering, so I studied planes as well as a bachelor, but then I did a space master and space engineering. And what do you study there? You study everything. You study airplanes, you study rockets, you study satellites, you study engines. I loved engines. Engines was my thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you can blow up stuff. That's awesome. Okay. And I didn't like airplane engines. I really like rocket engines. So when I did my master, I specialized in rocket engines.
So
I'm a rocket engineer.
Yeah, well, you're a rocket engineer.
Rocket
You're actually like the rocket woman.
I'm a rocket nerdy woman.
Yeah. So do they say rocket person these days, or can I say rocket woman?
I think you can say rocket woman. Yeah. I love engine. I think they're awesome. You know, when you see that big boom coming from around.
So have you seen any of the shuttles take off? I'm
pretty. So I'm not from the Apollo time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty in my 30s, but I was looking always at these rockets, and I think there was a phase in my life that I wanted to find UFOs. So I'm like, I'm gonna find them. You know, all the things that kids are obsessed with.
Yeah.
Except that I brought with me up to 30 years old. You know, so I never stopped. I want to be an astronaut. I really don't see very well. Like, you know, I've got glasses.
Like you're actually blind?
You know, I'm actually blind, okay? So I never, you know, really my body is not really good for that type of thing. So I'm like, okay, let's just build stuff. But space engineering was cool.
Okay.
It was very cool.
And was this, so I'm assuming you studied in Europe?
I'm studying in Rome, and then when I graduated, I found this job in north of Europe, in the Netherlands, where they have the European Space Agency. That's kind of NASA in Europe.
Yep.
And there I was working with engines and stuff and these small satellites, the nano satellites.
So you were a micro
propulsion,
thruster
blah, blah. Yeah.
test engineer. Is that
It's just
for
a
real?
thing. Yeah. You know, my first job was to test very small propulsion system for satellites. Yeah, how we had this amazing room in European Space Agency. I was a child, so I thought that's pretty cool. You know, you're 23, like, who gets to do this stuff? You test all this small propulsion system for satellites in this big room. It was awesome.
So did you pick up blokes with that sort of line?
Interestingly enough, you know, in all my life, you know, I've heard a sentence always that this is so weird. Like, you know, what do you do? I'm a space engineer.
Yeah.
And the first thing is like, you don't look like one. That I still don't know what the hell it means.
What do you
know,
meant to
like,
look
you
like?
know, first of all, how do I have to look like? You know, second of all, is like, hello. So yeah, that was always funny.
So when you're talking about micro propulsion, explain to people listening and myself.
What does it mean?
I'm assuming like when a satellite or something goes in space, it needs something to move it around.
So if you think about engines, you think about the big rockets that bring they bring the rockets out of space. But satellites do need.
Because micro is not the rocket.
Macro is small, is satellites. So satellites are big, you know, usually as a half of a bus or a big room, and they have big propulsion system. I got passionate about small satellites, very small, like as big as a glass of, like a bottle of wine or a shoebox.
Yeah.
That is super cool. So it's a technology that is, I think it started 20 years ago. And my explanation for this is that, you know, there was that awesome movie called Hidden Figures. Do you remember the movie about all the women?
The numbers.
Yeah, with the numbers in the basement that they participate. Okay. In that movie, there is an awesome part in which they buy the first IBM computer, and it's massive. Doesn't fit in the room. They have to destroy part of the wall. Satellites were like that, like a big, gigantic IBM, and now your phone is more powerful, right? So in the past 20 years, they're becoming smaller and small, and I got passionate about that, how to put a little engine in a little space. So when you got like a shoebox type of satellites. So you launch many of these little bees in space.
Many.
I love it. It's cool.
Many.
100,000 of them.